me if you want to add something. It will be very interactive and helpful as well. And I would also request students, if you have any questions in between, please stop me. So let us make it as interactive as we can. So that's the objective. So let's get to the basics. What is sustainability? So in common parlance, of course, if you Google what will you get as sustainability is nothing but how you can use the resources what is available today and also leave better world for tomorrow for the future generation. I think that's how I interpret sustainability. தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா நிலையான இருக்கிறது. So that is sustainability. Sustainable economic growth. When we say sustainable economic growth, it means நிலையான பொருளாதார வளர்ச்சி. So it should be for a long term. It should be serving the current generation. It should be serving the future generations to come in an improved manner. So better way of life, living standard improvement for the common people. This is all linked to sustainability. So we are talking sustainability in corporate environment. Sustainability means you want the world to live longer, better. That's how I interpret it. Now coming back to banking industry, like Sir said, there's a lot of sustainable initiatives which has been happening knowingly, unknowingly in the last 20 years, I would say. Right from the beginning where I was just discussing with them, moving from a physical paper statement to a digital statement is a sustainable initiative. Why? You save trees, you save paper, you save water. So what do you do with it? You use what is required for the current generation and leave what is more required for the future generation. So that's the sustainability initiative. Over the period of time, with the help of technology, with the help of new policies from the government, with the help of technological growth, there has been a lot of sustainable improvements which has happened in the banking industry. I was working as a credit manager 10 years back in SDFC. So at that point of time, we used to do a lot of physical verification, manual interventions, a lot of files moving around between Cochin, Trichy, Chennai. So transportation, of course, carbon emission, which is linked to carbon emission. And the restriction for or the limitation to validate data was enormous. To trust and lend was very limited. It was very difficult. We didn't have CIBIL at that point of time. We never had CIBIL. So we had to do physical verification. We have to send people to evaluate. We have to do, for big corporates, we have to do audit assessments. We have to empanel consultants to review the financials. So there has been a lot of things which we used to do before we award a loan. So what happens in this process? Timeline. So what is more important also in sustainability is how quickly you can lend so that they can use it to grow business, so that the business helps the society to grow. So it's a turnaround time which took longer at that point of time. Now I believe there is a 1 hour loan awardance criteria with adequate checks. It's not that you just award something without adequate checks. Good loans, good lending procedures. That is also banking sustainability practice which is currently available. You have multiple reporting facility available, civil reports. You can instantly validate data electronically. So the turnaround is fast. You give good loans, so improve the economy. So that is another facet of improvement which has happened, which I see in the banking industry. Of course, needless to reiterate the fact UPI, net banking, all of this is a recent development. I wouldn't say we had, yes, we had net banking 20 years back, but hardly anybody used. In fact, I would say for my 80-year-old parents, I converted their banking to net banking only last year. They were fearful to do that. But now I believe everybody, every one of you will have UPI payments. You are using net banking. Whether you go for a loan, whether you go for a fixed deposit, you go for investments, like Anand sir said, shares, mutual fund investments, everything is electronic. I still remember physical statements for mutual funds 15 years back. I had so much bunch of statements coming to me every day. At least one post will come to my house, some mutual fund statement, and again complaints is related to mutual funds. It is too good that it is organized and restricted by SEBI on multiple factors. I want to touch upon the topic of risk in banking. Multi-factor authentication. This multi-factor authentication has evolved over a period of time. Earlier, you just need a login ID password. Today, login ID, password, and a SMS. Now, you need login ID, password, SMS, and an authenticator or a PIN. So, these are all recent developments. So, banking is developing day by day and supporting sustainability. Again, you have to get back to the basics. What is sustainability is something very important, is misinterpreted and very freely used terminology or jargon in today's world. So I believe sustainability in banking and the growth in banking related to sustainability. So
They think those ideas make more sense, or people are able to relate this particular way in Western countries.
Yes. Actually, like coming from Germany, only Germany has a political party called Green Party. Okay. So, a political party concerned about another country has a Green Party. Okay. So that shows their important, the paying attention to the environment. They know very well the only through politics you can change. Okay. Politics is power. Okay. To get the power, you need to have a party totally dedicated to environment. Okay. Here, for the past several elections in India, I've been watching. No party has any agenda.
And they need to be really cautious because I see many people at 24, 25 just go and they're super excited. Somebody give 3 lakh, 4 lakh of loan just by a click from the apps. What are your suggestions for cautiousness, please?
Okay, I'll take that question. First and foremost, I think this is a very important topic, guys. So if you're sleeping, please watch out. Yeah. I think financial literacy is a topic that I think each and every one of you guys should be completely made aware of. And I'll give you an example. I have 2 boys. At the age of 11, my eldest son, I introduced him to some of the financial books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Psychology of Money, Intelligent Investors. What it did is it kind of completely changed the outlook of how he looks at money. He's 15 years old now. He's into a lot of investments, into cryptocurrencies, multi-asset funds, hybrid allocations, etc., etc. Why I say this is, I think, when you understand how money works, when you understand what money can do for you, it gives you a lot of power and knowledge, which prevents you getting into some of the financial stress points, which then leads into getting into loans, going in for these quick and adventurous borrowing of money. Right? So financial literacy is extremely, extremely important. So if you have not done that already, my biggest recommendation, if you guys going to take one thing out of this conference, is go and enrich yourself with financial literacy. Go and understand how money works, right? By the way, we all work for money, right? But actually, financial literacy helps you understand how money works for you, right? Extremely important. So when you do that, then you stop falling into the traps of these kind of quick loans, cheap loans, high profile and highly intensive kind of interest rate loans, etc. So important. Coming to your question, and I think the governments and the policymakers are establishing quite a lot of knowledge sharing sessions with respect to how these the ransom and the cyber security attackers are actually manipulating people into these kind of loans, right? One, government is making a lot of effort. Two, as I said, financial literacy is extremely important. So the individuals have the accountability that they don't fall into these traps, right? Three, I think, which is I feel is very important at the moment, especially with the boom in the technology, is knowing how to use the technology. You get an SMS saying you're going to get a loan for 2 lakh. You are in a financial stress. Click this link. You click it. It connects to your bank account, and your money is gone. If at all you have any. So having these 3 steps followed, I think is extremely important. I'm telling you, the fraudsters are going to be there. The fraudsters are going to come to you day in, day out with these kind of opportunities. It's up to us to stay vigilant, and it's to the government and the policymakers to ensure that these fraudsters are content. So, okay.
I'll just add on. I was relatively touching upon this topic of non-sustainable banking development. It's exactly the point what I wanted to talk about. See, sustainability again is for a long term. So for you, for the future, you are going to have access to loans. You are going to have access to free money. First rule, when I was studying IFRS, the first rule in IFRS is nothing comes for free. That is the first mantra when you look at financial management. Personal finance is a separate topic. I would be more than happy to have a one-day session separately with youngsters. Personal finance is a very, very deep, longer topic to understand. No one has gained full knowledge in personal finance yet. That is what I would say. There are very few people who has understood personal finance management. Very simple rule you can take away from this session is earn, save, spend. That's it. I think most of the books will recommend that. If you have this mantra in mind, you will not get into this bad loaning, getting into free money, taking loans and spending and then struggling to pay EMIs. It's a long subject. Keep this mantra. Earn, save, then spend. That is the only rule, basic rule we should always keep in mind. So what does it mean? Without earning, first of all, no need to take a loan at all. Whatever worst scenario you are in. You see, very successful entrepreneurs have built their empire without loans. What you don't have, you need not go and procure without having the financial knowledge what he is talking about. You need to understand basics of personal finance management. If not, don't fall prey because there are a lot of frauds, lot of non-sustainable banking practices all around. Every day there is a company which is coming up, online portal, you invest, you just need a login ID, password, Aadhaar card, that's it. You are there into the portal, you can buy mutual fund, you can buy shares, you can take loans, whatever it is, 6 months down the line, you don't have it. It's vanished. We have seen a lot of people losing money. I'm sure you would have read about a bank recently in North India which has shut down, small finance bank. They will come to you with lot of trust. They will gain trust of the investors. There are big businessmen who are investing. They will inculcate trust. They will make you invest. They will say 10,000 for the initial stages. They will pay you back also. You invest 10,000, you get 1 lakh. So you will get more confidence. You invest 2 lakhs. It keeps on going. After a particular point of time, 100 crores, person has vanished. Every day in, day out, this kind of practices happen. So on one side, there is a lot of measures brought in by SEBI, RBI, Government of India to restrict all of this. But it will keep growing. As technology grows, you cannot avoid this. So what is the best thing to do? Don't get into anything which you don't need. I mean, that's the fundamental thing I would say. I mean, there is nothing new to learn in this world. Whatever elders have taught us, அளவுக்கு மீறினா அமிர்தமும் விஷம். அவ்வளவுதான். What you don't need, don't go for it. If you want to go for a loan, why do you want to go for a loan? Are you really going to do an investment? Have you done enough analysis? Have you consulted people who are expert in that field? If not, don't explore. Do your research, understand, consult, take advice, then get into all of this. Finance or money, anything related to money is a very, very sharp-edged sword. It can kill you overnight, but it can make you richer overnight. So you have to clearly understand that. Probably it's a slight deviation of the topic what we want to talk about, but it's very important. Thanks, ma'am, for raising this.
Yeah, to add upon, I want a customer here. I will ask question. I want to give you a loan. நீங்க லோனை திருப்பி பே பண்ண வேண்டாம். லோன் 10 லட்சம் தர நீங்க திருப்பியே பே பண்ண வேண்டாம். யாரோ ஒருத்தர் from the audience 10 lakhs லோன் தர நீங்க இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் பே பண்ணணும் திருப்பி பே பண்ண வேண்டாம். ஓகே சார். ரெடி சார். ஸோ உங்களோட கேஎஸ்சி டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் சப்மிட் பண்ணுங்க சார்.
கேஒய்சினா
அது உங்களோட ஆதார் கார்டு, பேன் கார்டு, உங்களோட பேங்க் டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஜஸ்ட் போட்டோ காப்பீஸ்.
photo
10 lakhs நீங்க சப்மிட் பண்ணா 10 lakhs I will give you the loans.
Okay.
Which you need not repay sir.
Okay. So
No interest.
நான் ஒண்ணுமே கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்.
வேணாம் சார்.
நான் டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் மட்டும் கொடுத்தா போதும்.
டாக்குமெண்ட்ஸ் மட்டும் கொடுத்தா போதும் சார்.
ஓகே. கேஷா கொடுப்பீங்களா பேங்க்ல
ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் பண்ணிடுவோம். பேங்க்ல ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் பண்ணிடுவோம். நீங்க ஒரு பைசா கூட
ஓகே. நோ செக்
நோ போஸ்டட் செக் நத்தி எதுவும் வேணாம்.
So do you need bank statements sir?
இது பேங்க் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் நீங்க கொடுத்து நாங்க எடுத்துப்போம். சோ நீங்க ஜஸ்ட் டாக்குமெண்ட் சப்மிட் பண்ணுங்க சார்.
Do you need income proof sir?
எதுவும் வேணாம் சார்.
Okay. So only KYC is enough.
Yes sir. நீங்க இப்ப டாக்குமெண்ட் சப்மிட் பண்ணுங்க. நாங்க உங்களுக்கு ஒரு 2 daysல ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணி 10 lakhs கொடுப்போம். நீங்க 10 years கழிச்சு திருப்பி எதுவும் பண்ண தேவையில்லை.
Okay. Just take it and walk away.
அவ்வளவுதான்.
Fantastic sir. This is my documents. Thank you.
Thank you sir.
So when will I get the credit?
2 days sir.
Thank you so much.
2 days loan is credited. அதுக்கப்புறமா சார் நீங்க இன்னொரு கம்பெனில ஒரு கால் வரும். சார் நீங்க லோன் வாங்கியிருந்தீங்களா, அதுக்கு டாக்குமெண்ட்ல நீங்க ஒரு 16வது பாயிண்ட்ல ஒரு பாயிண்ட் சைன் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. இன்சூரன்ஸ் பிரீமியம் மந்த்லி சார் இயர்லி ஒரு 1 lakh பே பண்ணுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு சார் இன்சூரன்ஸ் பிரீமியம்
I never signed up for any such agreement.
Sir, look at the
I just gave my KYC and signed the agreement.
நீங்க அந்த டர்ம்ஸ் அண்ட் கண்டிஷன்ஸ் லோன் வாங்க சந்தோஷத்துல டிக் பண்ணீங்கல்ல, அதுல 160th பாயிண்ட் பாருங்க. அதுல யூ அக்ரி டு பே இன்சூரன்ஸ் பிரீமியம் 1 lakh.
சார் அது வந்து புக்லெட் மாதிரி இருக்கு, 15 பேஜ் இருக்கு. அதை யார் சார் படிச்சிருப்பாங்க?
நீங்க தான் சார் கையெழுத்து போட்டிருக்கீங்க.
கையெழுத்து போட்டு அதை யார் சார் படிப்பாங்க? That's not my job at all. I just signed the document.
அதெல்லாம் முடியாது. நீங்க
KYC போறோம்னு சொன்னீங்க. இப்ப என்னன்னா இன்சூரன்ஸ் பே பண்ண
கேஒய்சி போதுன்னு அந்த பேங்க் சொல்லிருக்காங்க. பிடிக்கன்னு சைன் பண்ணும்போது டர்ம்ஸ் அண்ட் கண்டிஷன் படிச்சு பார்த்து சைன் பண்ணிருக்கணும்ல, பண்ணல. அப்போ
சரி இப்படி ஏமாத்தான்
நான் ஏமாத்தல சார், நீங்க தான் சைன் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க. This is how it works. ப்ரீ லோன்ஸ் கொடுத்துட்டு பின்னாடி வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, நீங்க டர்ம்ஸ் அண்ட் கண்டிஷன் படிச்சு பார்க்காம கையெழுத்து போட்டிருப்பீங்க. அதுல இன்சூரன்ஸ் பிரீமியம் ஒரு 1 lakh பே பண்ணணும். அது 10 years 10 lakh பே பண்ணணும். அதுக்கப்புறமா அந்த நாமினி ஃபார் தி இன்சூரன்ஸ் கம்பெனி will be the banker or somebody X or Y. பேங்க் நேம் யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு கால் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஐசிஐசிஐ பேங்க் கால் பண்ணுவாங்க. பட் ஐசிஐசிஐ பேங்காவே இருப்பாங்க, ஒரு பிரைவேட் பினான்சியரா இருப்பாங்க. நீங்க சப்போஸ் திருப்பி ரீபே பண்ணலைன்னா, நீங்க செக்ல நான் உங்களுக்கு லோன் கொடுத்துருக்கேன், அவர் இன்சூரன்ஸ் பிரீமியம் பே பண்ணலைன்னா அவரோட சிவில் அட்டாச் பண்ணிட்டு ஒரு டிஃபால்டர் ஆயிடுவார். டிஃபால்டர் ஆயிட்டாருன்னா திருப்பி அந்த பேங்க்ல லோன் வாங்க முடியாது. சோ இந்த மாதிரி உங்களுக்கு ஃப்ரீ ஆஃபர் வரும். 10 லட்சம் லோன் தரோம், ஃப்ரீ லோனே போறோம்ல. அவர் சொன்னாரு, எனிதிங் தட் கம்ஸ் ஃப்ரீ இஸ் நாட் ஃப்ரீ. உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது ஃப்ரீயா ஒரு சொட்டு ரத்தம் கொடுக்குறாங்கன்னா உங்க கிட்னி எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க. Okay,
nothing comes for free is a critical financial terminology which you should always remember. It's not only in finance, even in life. Nothing comes for free. Without effort, you cannot succeed in your academics. Without effort, you cannot get into a better job. Without effort, you cannot run your family. So nothing comes for free. Please keep it in mind. Have enough financial knowledge before signing up for anything. Whether you lend or borrow, you need to know what are the added things to it. What do they offer? What are the addendums? Is it linked to an insurance? Today's world, I think even home loans are linked to property insurance and life insurance. It is not mandated, but many banking companies, they do ask you to sign up for a property insurance and life insurance. What is the link between life insurance and property insurance? I'm anyway mortgaging my property. You need to ask. So please have enough financial knowledge before getting into a personal financial transaction. Same holds good for corporate finance also. I'm not going deeper into the corporate aspects, but this is some basics which you need to understand.
Thank you, sir. Now, sir, actually, the data about the customer. Now, banks இருந்து கால் பண்றாங்க. சார் நான் ஐசிஐசில இருந்து கால் பண்றேன், எஸ்பிஐல இருந்து கால் பண்றேன், பஜாஜ் ஃபினான்ஸ்ல இருந்து கால் பண்றேன். உங்களுக்கு லோன் வேணுமான்னு கால் பண்றாங்க. அவங்க கால் பண்ணும்போது நீங்க வரதோஜ் இன்சூரன்ஸ்ல தான் ஒர்க் பண்றீங்கன்றாங்க. ஷாக்கிங்கா இருக்கு. உங்களோட இன்கம் இவ்வளவுதானா? they are able to identify. சார் என்னோட டேட்டா எப்படி உனக்கு இருக்கு? நான் உங்களோட அக்கௌண்ட்லயே வைக்கல. ஜஸ்ட் ஐசிஐசிஐ பேங்க். You are calling from Bajaj Finance or some XRY. Okay. And asking, என்னோட டேட் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்காக சொல்றேன். ஓகே. டிஸ்க்ளைமர் எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்காக சொல்ற வேர்ட்ஸ். ஓகே. எப்படி என்னோட டேட்டா உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்குது? அதாவது ஏஐ டூலிங் யூஸ் பண்ணி எடுக்கறாங்களா சார்?
So how many of you drink tea in chai cups? When you pay the bill, they ask you for your phone number, right? Have you ever asked why asking your phone number? Free money. So yes, it helps us in points, but equally I think there's also a database that gets generated in access. Not necessarily all companies use this database for these reasons, but we do know that some of the industry players and financial players do get hands to those data. What we also know is there's a lot of data analytics that works on. There's a lot of data analytical engine that sits behind these technology, where you consume phone numbers, you consume your Aadhaar card details, you consume your bank account details, and do the algorithm mix throughout an output. And it says, Mr. C. Palnichami, XYZ is a number, ABC is his working place, and CDE is his financial status. And I think that gives the input for somebody to call you to say, okay, he's got a financial status that he can repay a loan up to a certain amount. So it kind of calculates and says, Mr. Palnichami, we can give 1 crore loan. So that's how the algorithm works behind the scenes. It's not just one place that mines the data. The data is mined from various different places, even as simple as you giving your phone number to a tea shop.
Correct.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Actually, to add on to this,
Data privacy is something very much regulated in the yeah, probably one of the practices we should start is enforcing Data Privacy Act. I think it's been much misused, more for bad reasons, but for the good reasons.
true, sir. Because talking about data security, maybe or 3-4 months back, I had a conversation with my wife. Casually, பேசியிருந்தோம் like நம்ம ஒரு வீடியோ லோன் வாங்கிட்டு போலாமான்னு சொல்லிட்டு இமீடியட்டா நான் கூகுள் எடுத்து பார்க்கும்போது போன் ஆஃபர்ஸ் வருது. லைக் ஐ கெட் கால்ஸ் ஆன் லோன்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி somebody is watching, மேல இருக்கிறவங்க பார்க்கறாங்க அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி somebody is watching. So how to stop that, sir? Actually,
Yeah, so when we install an app, any app for that matter, there is a series of questions that they ask, and you keep clicking everything. You say agree to all.
make access.
It means that you can monitor me, all my activities on my cell phone behind the scenes, right? I've seen this example as well. There is once where I was talking with my family about an holiday. So we're thinking about going to Vietnam. I was just talking. My phone was just kept on the table and I was talking to my wife. A day later, I get a lot of recommendations about packages to Vietnam. I didn't even go and check in Google. I just spoke. The technology is listening. The AI-enabled systems are listening and providing us with recommendation. I was telling my wife, the universe is setting us up, but actually not. It's somebody behind the scenes looking at our data, monitoring us day in, day out, and then not even AI, it's Gen AI. Generative AI is now making those calls for us and giving us a recommendation. I'm sure most of you use Instagram, right? Instagram? Okay. Did you notice that your feeds are pretty much aligned to the same topic again and again and again? If you just monitor one video, it keeps coming through, right? I'm not sure whether you noticed it. Even if you speak somebody else, you start getting the same feeds. And that's generative AI. And that's what's happening when it comes to the data and the way it's being processed behind the scenes. The only way is you being cautious in what you kind of consent to provide the information for. When you're downloading an application, read through every single topic that they call out for and don't check all the boxes. There are some applications, if you don't check all the boxes, you don't get access to. So it's a life choice you make. Whether you want to use that app, compromising on data privacy, or you are strict enough to not to use the app. Right? And by the way, this is a global problem. I know there's a lot of focus on data and data privacy in Western countries, but they do face the same challenges. In fact, I think in one of the council hearing, even Mr. Sundar Pichai was asked this question. Do you have, and then one of the senator asked this question to Sundar Pichai saying, do you have access to my data? And he said, if you give me the consent, then I have. Right? So that's how it works. It's up to you whether to give you the consent and whether you want to use the data and the applications.
Coming to the next one, like giving loans, banks also expect returns, but sometimes letting loan to a renewable energy sector, like a solar power project or a windmill, banks are under risk. Like you lend money, sometimes it may not come back. Because I've seen the portfolios of many companies who are running windmills, all this, renewable energy, are making losses. So, but that is required for the sustainable development. How do you look at that, sir, at future?
And I think every other financial institution is now getting to a point where they want to become zero carbon emitting organization by a certain date. Right? I think each country have a different target. I think India has a target of 2050, by when we want to become a zero emission country. By the way, do you guys know which country is the only country which is zero carbon emitted country? Do you know? Somebody say that. Excellent. Bhutan is the only country in the globe which has zero carbon emission. So they are the only country that produces more green, more oxygen than the other harmful gases like carbon dioxide, etc. So coming to your point, sir, there is a commitment made by every organization to get to that point. The commitment also requires certain level of sacrifice in the short term, but in the long term, they do help the companies. For example, in my industry, which is an investment banking industry where we sell and buy shares, commodities, like we sell carbon and all those commodities as well. The companies are making an effort to reduce trading on commodities that are positive carbon emitting. So short term, there are going to be losses in not trading those activities or those products, but in the long term, they will be helping us to keep the earth sustainable, which means the growth and the profits are shared much more widely than what's happening today, where the profits are aggressively being accumulated by few of the top billionaires, but in the long run, it won't be sustainable for them too. So they understand that and now making a constant and in a continuous effort to focus on ESG. You guys follow ESG, environmental social governance? So it's one of the biggest topic in the globe where all the political leaders are gravitated towards ESG and trying to make the countries more or less carbon emitting countries.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you are telling don't borrow unnecessarily from India. But the last 6 months, automobile sale is dropping. EV, 50% drop. Petroleum and other vehicles, around 30-40% drop. Car sales drop. Now, automobile industries may run at a loss. Here, to improve the borrowing power of the customer, purchasing power of the customer, I will lend a loan. As a banker, I will lend loan. You let him purchase vehicle. so that the industry sales is not dropping, industry is not going down. The investment shareholders' wealth also will be up, and the customer also will be happy to use the product lesser.
So I think you're right. See, the purpose is more important. Right? What is the end need is more important. See, sustainability is always linked to what is the end need of today and for tomorrow as well. So you're right. I mean, you touched upon automobile industry. It's very close to my heart. So probably I talk a little bit about the auto industry. So of course I'm in engineering services, so we have a lot of automotive customers. The technology related to automobile has also developed far and wide the last 10 years. You must not have seen cars with we call ADAS. So ADAS, which is automatic driver assist system, which is actually helping people to be safer during their driving experience, was not available earlier. ADAS has level 1 to 5, which goes up to automatic cars also. And you have electric vehicles coming. What is very important is what kind of vehicle is being sold. For stage 1 to stage 6, it has gone far and wide. So it is improving. If you have the purchasing power to buy a car with a loan and able to repay, I really promote that because the industry will grow. Of course, the market share of the company is going to increase. They will invest more to develop a more sustainable car. So it's a cycle. I completely agree with that. But what is not advisable or what is not required is when you already have a car and one person cannot drive 2 cars, I would strongly encourage to have only 1 car. Or do a car. Okay. See, I mean, coming from Bangalore, carpooling is very popular because the traffic is so bad. If I take my car to my office, it takes 2 hours. If I go by bike, it takes 1 hour 15 minutes. If I take a metro, it takes 45 minutes to 1 hour, but that's the most efficient way. Save time, I save energy, I help the society. That is what I am trying to say. So, yes, especially in industry, automotive, of course, the sales have dropped, but it's only a cycle. Why the sales have dropped is a very global economic scenario. There is too much of supply than the demand. That is the real reason for the sales drop. The demand is still there for highly efficient vehicles. People have moved from just I need a car to I need this type of car. It has evolved over a period of time. Earlier, Maruti 800 is good enough and great if you have. But today, there are specifications. Even if I am a new, I am just 3 years experienced guy, I want to buy a car in Delhi. They will surely not go for a vehicle which is cheaper, which is having minimum infrastructure inside. So you need a high-tech car. That's the reason why people are loading, and of course Tesla is coming to India. So that's news. I hope it's a good news. And proud to say Mahindra has enormously improved their 2 new EVs. They have developed, that is all sustainable efforts, of course. I mean, if I talk about auto industry, it's helping a lot in developing sustainable economic growth for our country. Trucks, see the mobility, you see, that is very important nowadays. How quickly you can send one product from one location to another location in India. It has dramatically grown. The road infrastructure has shrunk the country a lot. And Hyperloop, I mean, you must have heard, it's a dream for India. If you get Hyperloop, you travel between cities where you have a 6-hour journey, you travel in 2 hours. That is a positive development. So yes, long story short, you must evaluate whether you will invest yourself, coming back to our topic, or you will borrow and invest, which is very important. Borrow and spend, borrow and invest, save and invest. These are all financial decisions which you should evaluate and then decide. That's my point. That's a personal sustainability decision.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now, for example, these students are having a good idea about starting a new business. It may be a new business or a new service or a new product line or a franchising. They want to start a good business. But the problem is they don't have any background, number one. Number two, they don't have any financial credibility to give, like income tax returns or the bank statements they can give. So what the banks can do or will do if they approach for financial help? It may be venture capital or it may be like asking for a loan, like a startup loan, etc. How the banking sector can do, because the growth of younger generation financially also matters.
Although, by the way, I have a very differing opinion about loans are good in some extent. Right? So, for example, let's say if I'm buying a property on a loan, and that property yields me a rent of more than what I pay the loan for, then it's a good loan. Right? Most of the businesses flourish through this model. A lot of startups flourish through this model. Understand how the money works and try to get loans and find themselves into a deep hole that they cannot really recover from. So just coming back to your point about, and I think India is one of the emerging country with a lot of startups. That's what the statistics says. So what does it mean is there is a lot of hope and trust in the banking system for good ideas. So when you think about starting your own business, there's a lot of things that's come into play. The finance is the last one, to be honest. I think your business model, the type of industry that you're planning to start your business, what is your framework for the next 3, 5, 10 years of your business? Those are the credible stats that you think you should be planning to improve yourself on when you start thinking about a business. Your business model is extremely important. Is this a unique model? Is this a sustainable model? Does it have long-term opportunity in that model? Those areas are extremely important, and that's what banks are actually looking at. And of course, there are some financial security that the bank needs, because they are lending money. But that is constantly driving to a point where the reliability on those credible assets to pledge on is actually reduced. It's becoming more, your conceptual data points, your ideas that is actually driving more of those loans to be given to you if you come up with a proper business model and framework. And that's what I started seeing. We do have a lot of those smart investors that are coming into the industry who are looking at people who have good ideas, not just banks, but individuals who are looking at good ideas and trying to invest. I'm one of them as well. So I invest in a small cap. So it just based on the business model and the framework that the individual comes up with, rather than the background or how much money they have as a pledge, etc.
Thank you, sir. It's been wonderful to share the dice with you both. As sir was telling, sustainability we can talk for 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, it will never end. So now it's the time for the audience to ask questions. If there's any, we'd like to be crisp and short, because the session has to end soon, and next session has to start after a break. So from the audience, if there's a question, please ask quickly. Yeah. Just give a mic. Places. Or just whoever want to ask question, you can just come to the front row. You just ask the question, or you can come to the rest also and ask question. That is better, because it gets covered in your. There's a black button down at the end.
Please feel free to ask any questions, and we can do a rapid fire also.
Yeah.
Sir,
Can you keep the mic closer?
Talk about ESG culture. I have knowledge. So, for example, if we take a country like US, which has a rate of more rate of population population compared to India, but the stat says that as of 2023, US has issued almost around 600 green bonds, while compared to India has only issued 20 billion in green bonds. So, what's your thoughts on that? Should India issue more green bonds to reduce pollution?
It's a great question, actually. Before answering the question, I think a little bit of context to how US and India operates, right? While the population is very different to what India is versus US, but the GDP, the gross domestic consumption, is extremely higher than India. And I think US stands at number 2. China and US keep flipping back and forth, and India is on 4th now. I think trying to get to 3. So that also adds to the ESG context. So which is very important. It's not just the population. And number 2, I think, and again, these are government policies, so I want to be of futuristic investments you do. Right? For example, the difference between the spend that we do in arms and ammunition is very different to the spend that US does. Right? We spend a lot of money from our budget for agriculture, for educational growth, right? And of course, militaries and the arms and ammunition plays a crucial role. But comparatively, US is far higher. So there is technically a need for US to invest more. And third, and I think US have a much more aggressive target to achieve ESG. I think they are trying to hit by 2035, if I'm not wrong, whereas India has a target of 2050. And of course, population play a crucial role. Knowledge plays a crucial role, right? And India is stuck in between a consistent and constant development versus constraining and keeping our carbon emission low. So we are a developing country. So stopping the development means then the economy may not be flourishing, but at the same time, we cannot keep growing at the same pace or emitting more carbon, making us unsustainable. So it's a right balance that India is trying to make, and I think we need to trust the policymakers. Our government has taken a lot of efforts in that space, which seems very positive. But it's not comparable between US and India because of all these factors I just explained. Hope it answers your questions. Thank you. Next question.
To add a point to this, if you look at the per capita emissions, don't see the quantity of emissions. It is like 10 tons divided by how many people. So that per capita also you have to look into. If you look at per capita emissions, it is very low in India. Total quantity of emissions may be high because of the population, because of the largest population that we are having. But per capita emission standards are